Part 26. After the divorce, the princess was forced to raise a sickly villain. Author, Nan Huang. Chapter 251. But at this point, the emperor and Chu Xuanyi couldn't help but think of Chu Qinghuang at the same time. Before the age of 14, Chu Qinghuang had a violent temper. He was really fearless. He didn't take anyone seriously. If he saw anyone unhappy, he would just whip him to death on the spot. The most important thing is that after she entered the Dark Pavilion, she defeated all the invincible opponents in the Dark Pavilion, but she could not defeat Fuekang, so she was so angry that she directly used her royal privileges to get the Shadow Guard to her side and forced him to recognize yourself as Lord. After the Shadow Guard recognized his master, he handed over all his destiny to his master. He could not control his life or death. He had to do whatever his master asked him to do. The rules ingrained in him through years of training made the Shadow Guard know only loyalty, so everyone thought that Fuekang would have a difficult life in the future. Some even expected him to live less than a year. But the Shadow Guard is just a Shadow Guard. If one life is gone, it is gone. Who cares? Chu Qinghuang has changed a lot in the past few months. Although her temper is still a little cold and unkind, she is no longer so impulsive and irritable, but more decisive and domineering than before. And Fuekang, who has been ignored for a long time, is still alive and well. There was silence in Yogan Palace for a while. The emperor spoke slowly, Xianyi. Chu Xuanyi lowered his head, yes. What kind of woman do you think Qinghuang is? Chu Xuanyi's expression tightened slightly, and he narrowed his eyes and said respectfully, Her Royal Highness, the eldest princess, is very capable. Capable? The emperor laughed. Qinghuang has indeed been very capable in the past few months, and he has actually done a few things that make me happy. Chu Xuanyi said nothing. However, the emperor did not want to let him go and continued to ask, I want to hear your true thoughts. Chu Xuanyi couldn't guess what his intention was, so he replied thoughtfully, Your Highness has become much kinder during this period, and is much gentler than before. Gentle? The emperor was slightly stunned, obviously not expecting that someone would apply such words to Qinghuang. How do you say it? Although Her Royal Highness the princess still looks cold and unkind, Her Highness is dealing with corrupt officials. Even if an ordinary person accidentally offends His Highness, as long as there is no evidence of guilt in her hands, Your Highness will usually handle it lightly and there will never be any retribution. As he said that, he added, it's a little different from the cruel temperament that was rumored before. The rumored cruelty? The emperor didn't say anything, but he couldn't help but think in his heart that Qinghuang's previous cruel temperament was not a rumor, but a fact, but it did change completely during this period. However, Chu Xuanyi probably didn't mean to compliment him when he said this, but he actually realized the benefits of this gentleness. After all, several clan members were also involved in the incident that happened at the Ku Shui Shang poetry party in the suburbs. The initiators, the sixth princess and Feng Jinzi, were severely punished. Although several clan members were also beaten, but overall, it was a near miss, and this result was the result of Chu Xuanyi kneeling in the eldest princess's mansion all night to beg for forgiveness. Thinking of this, the emperor couldn't help but feel a little complicated. Qinghuang's temperament is comparable to that of a man, or even worse, the emperor said calmly, he acts without scruples, is vigorous but not reckless, ruthless but measured, and uses thunderous means to punish corrupt officials and traitors. As long as she is, I don't hesitate to be an enemy of everyone. If I want to do something, I feel ashamed of myself. Chu Xuanyi listened silently and did not comment easily. Xianyi, who among my sons do you think is as courageous as Qinghuang? Chu Xuanyi thought about it in his mind and spoke slowly, the eldest princess has extraordinary courage. It is difficult for ordinary people to compare with her. If you took my position, would you be wary of her temper and ability? Chu Xuanyi's expression changed, Your Majesty. Don't be nervous, I'm just chatting with you, the emperor sighed. It doesn't matter if you say so. Yes, Chu Xuanyi lowered his eyes. When the new emperor ascends the throne in the future, it will be fine if he is broad-minded and tolerant. If he is headstrong and jealous, I am afraid that he will not be able to tolerate the existence of Her Royal Highness the eldest princess. Then who do you think among my princes is the most broad-minded and tolerant? I dare not lie. I let you say it. Chu Xuanyi knelt down and said, I dare not judge the conduct and ambition of the princes. That's all. The emperor laughed at himself. I know the virtues of these sons of mine, so why do I need others to judge them? Chu Xuanyi said nothing. Get up. The emperor picked up the teacup and took a sip of tea slowly. If Qing Huang had a temper like this, he wouldn't be able to become an emperor for eternity, but he could at least be a heroic emperor with great talent and strategy. Chu Xuanyi's heart suddenly froze. Xianyi, the emperor, raised his eyes and looked at him. From now on, you should try your best to hang out with Qing Huang. She is now helping me to rectify the imperial court and eliminate corrupt officials and traitors. A person's power is limited after all, and it is easy to make enemies. You have to help me more. Help her. Chu Xuanyi vaguely understood what the emperor meant, and almost couldn't believe that the emperor would have such incredible thoughts. However, thinking about the questions the emperor asked just now, he felt that, although they were unexpected, they seemed to be reasonable. With Chu Qinghuang's temperament, no matter who among the current princes eventually became the emperor, they would not be able to tolerate her. Chu Qinghuang was not a person who would kowtow to others, so only if she sits in that position will there be a perfect result. $window. Tabula equals window. Tabula. Tabula.push, mode, thumbspeed -01, container, tabula below article thumbnail -300x250, placement, below article thumbnail -300x250, target. Type, mix. After the divorce, the princess was forced to raise a sickly villain. Author, Nan Huang. Chapter 252. However, Chu Xuanyi did not expect that the fifth prince being injured by a shadow guard did not arouse much reaction from the emperor. Instead, the eldest princess became the protagonist of the two people's chat. When the emperor finally felt that he had raised enough points and let him go, Chu Xuanyi quickly walked out of Yuqian Palace and met the second prince Chu Tianqiu, who came with steady steps. Xianyi. Chu Tianqiu spoke first, with a bit of a smile on his face. Have you just met your father? Chu Xuanyi saluted and then nodded. Yes, I just said a few words to the emperor. Chu Tianqiu smiled and said, what did you say? It's nothing, Chu Xuanyi said with a humble expression. The fifth prince and the eldest princess had a conflict. I'm here to report it to the emperor. This is not a secret, everyone in the palace who needs to know will know it later, there is nothing to hide. It just so happens that I have something to ask my father for advice. Please wait for me outside. Chu Tianqiu patted his shoulder and said, if you have time tonight, go to my mansion to get together. We two brothers haven't sat down for a drink for a long time. Chu Xuanyi declined politely, thank you for your kindness, your highness. I have official duties and I don't dare to be greedy. What's this? Your highness, please go in first. Chu Xuanyi interrupted him, when you are free another day, Xianyi will definitely come to bother you. Chu Tianqiu didn't force him. He smiled lightly and said, okay, I'm waiting for you to come. With that said, he passed by him and walked towards Yuqian Palace. Chu Xuanyi watched him go away, frowning slightly, then turned and left without expression for a moment. Your Highness, Hong Yu stepped out of the door, looked at Chu Qinghuang, who got off the carriage, and said as if he was taking credit, I have important information to report to your Highness. Chu Qinghuang paused slightly as he got out of the car, then stood slowly on the ground and raised his eyes to look at him. What urgent information makes you not even have the patience to wait for me to enter the house? Hong Yu sneered, I just came out to greet His Highness and report the news by the way. Chu Qinghuang hummed and walked towards the house. What's the news? I have been conducting secret investigations for 2 days, and finally found out the information related to Prince Qian's mansion. Hong Yu followed Chu Qinghuang and walked to the mansion together, lowering his voice as he walked. Isn't Qiu Wei coming soon? Prince Qian plans to take care of the students. Make a fuss. Chu Qinghuang said calmly. How to make a fuss? After the autumn festival, students from all over the country rushing to take exams will arrive in the imperial capital one after another after the new year to participate in the spring festival at the beginning of the next spring. King Xian plans to bribe students from all over the world, especially those from poor families, and provide free education to these learned people in the name of Prince Xian's mansion. They will also be provided with pens, ink, paper, inkstones and other reading supplies to buy people's hearts. Chu Qinghuang frowned. I remember that the imperial court has regulations that for students who come to Beijing to attend the spring festival, the local government offices should provide them with enough expenses for their journey. That's true, but the Ziki treasury has not been rich in the past few years, and His Highness also knows it. Hong Yu curled his lips. What King Xian means is that the treasury is not rich, and the local government offices are not rich either. This money comes from Qin come home. The Qin family. Chu Qinghuang walked across the corridor, her voice a little more interesting. That's not bad. Killing 2 birds with 1 stone, you can not only show your merits in front of the emperor, but also win the gratitude and respect of the students all over the world. With Xian Ming out, the chances of winning will naturally increase. Qin Qiaoju's wife came from a merchant's family, so she could still afford a small amount of money. Although the merchant's family could not claim to have an inexhaustible supply of gold and silver, there were officials in the court to protect them, so the business would naturally go smoothly. Compared with officials who are secretive and dare not reveal their wealth, Mrs. Qin's family has such a small amount of money, but she has no fear of being regarded as corruption by the emperor. Go and call Chu Ling Chuan over, Chu Qinghuang ordered. Since King Xian wants to earn a reputation as a virtuous man by smashing money, I will help him do it. It happens that what I am most in need of is silver. Compared with wealth, who can compare with Juxiao Pavilion, which has great power across all 9 states? Chu Qinghuang walked to the hall and sat down, relaxed her body and leaned on the brocade couch, holding her chin and thinking, the students who can pass the exam in Chunwei will become the new nobles in the court. In the future, 11 Qis humorous will be among them. I really deserve it. Work hard on them. After all, everyone knows that a scholar's pen can kill people. Although she is not afraid of trouble, if she wants to sit in that position, she should not be an enemy of the scholar. The best way to deal with it is to nip trouble in the bud in advance. Sitting in that position is just the beginning, not the end. She also wants to govern the world and make Ziki strong and prosperous. Today's students will be loyal and capable ministers in the future. You can't just kill your ministers if you disagree with them, so the focus should be on the heart. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. After the divorce, the princess was forced to raise a sickly villain. Author, Nan Huang. Chapter 253. Hong Yu went to invite Chu Ling Chuan in person. Fukang made tea and brought it over. He picked up a teacup with his long fingers and poured the tea with his sleeves. His movements looked like flowing clouds and flowing water, which was smooth and pleasing to the eye. Chu Qinghuang's eyes paused on his hand for a moment, then slowly said, Fukang. Fukang put down the teapot, bowed and said, my subordinate is here. Do you know why King Xian wants to bribe students? Fukang's attitude was serious. Please master, please teach me. Officials all over the world are educated, Chu Qinghuang said in a leisurely voice. Although not all scholars can pass the scientific examination and become officials, but looking at the world, the number of scholars is very impressive. Their pens can lift a person to heaven, and they can also it brings ruin to one's reputation. Fu Kang lowered his eyes, Master is not afraid of rumors. Yet Chu Qinghuang nodded, but if you have a choice, do you think it's better to be praised or reviled? Fu Kang said, praise. If I am just an ordinary person, it doesn't matter whether I am praised or reviled by others. Chu Qinghuang chuckled, but I am the one who wants to be the queen, so there are many things to consider, not to mention offending them. It is not necessary, but simply impossible. Because all the civil and military officials in the dynasty are the best among scholars, I want them to be willing to be driven by me. This willingness is not fear of power or violence, but a sincere awe, do you understand? Fu Kang lowered his eyebrows and lowered his eyes, and his tone was extremely respectful. Master, can you explain it in more detail? Chu Qinghuang glanced at him, you really don't understand. Fu Kang's attitude was meek, this subordinate is stupid. He likes to listen to his master talk. Unlike his indifference in front of others, his extremely patient look will make him feel that he is cared about. Especially this kind of pointing and chatting method will make him find it extremely useful. Only those who are truly loyal to the king will do their best, instead of cheating and using their power to enrich their own pockets. Chu Qinghuang said calmly, all those who are afraid of means or driven by profit will rise step by step. As the power in your hands grows larger and larger, your greed will grow bigger and bigger. Only those who sincerely surrender will keep their original intentions unchanged. My subordinate understands. Fu Kang nodded and expressed his loyalty, this subordinate is truly surrendering to his master. No matter what happens in the future, he will never change his mind. I have no greed and will not swell. Chu Qinghuang's expression paused slightly, making no comment. Therefore, tough tactics are only suitable for corrupt officials and traitorous officials. Those who serve the people loyally and wholeheartedly must be subdued with all their heart. Fu Kang quickly understood the essence, the master is wise. Chu Qinghuang lowered her eyebrows and drank tea. Your Highness. Chu Ling Chuan walked in and bowed to Chu Qinghuang, Your Highness, do you want me to do something? Chu Qinghuang raised her eyes, do you know about Uncle Qin's wife, the Zhou family? Chu Ling Chuan thought for a while, I have heard about it. He is responsible for the big business of Juxiao Pavilion, which involves the imperial military supplies of war horses, armor, and weapons. The customers he talks about business with are also the imperial courts of various countries. At other times, he travels around the world, checking accounts, supervising the management of various places, and understanding the major businesses in the mall. The family's sphere of influence, and collect information by the way. The Zhou family's business is not small, but it is not enough to impress him. The Zhou family was protected by Uncle Qin in the court, and naturally they were successful in the business, so they accumulated a lot of wealth over the years. Uncle Qin was also the elder brother of the queen and the uncle of King Xian, so the Zhou family was the strongest and most powerful of King Xian. Strong financial backing. Chu Qinghuang said in a calm voice, Autumn Festival is coming soon, and the students who won the exam after the Autumn Festival will go to Beijing in the spring of next year to participate in the Spring Festival held by the Ministry of Rites. Hearing this, Chu Ling Chuan nodded slowly, Your Highness plans to win over people's hearts. Yes. Chu Qinghuang nodded, I should thank Chu Tianqiu for reminding me. Since he wants to attack the students, I will attack first. Chu Ling Chuan said, whatever you need me to do, please give me your instructions. After the results were released in Kaiwei, you asked people to find out the list of successful students from all over the country in the shortest possible time. All students from poor families were given a sufficient travel allowance of silver, so that they could go to Beijing to take the exam without any worries. Chu Qinghuang ordered, if there are elderly parents or women and children at home, some living expenses will be subsidized so that orphans and widows can be properly accommodated. Chu Ling Chuan responded, yes. The Zhou family will be investigated. By the way, Chu Qinghuang's voice was as cold as snow, It's fine if they behave according to the rules, but if there are any evil deeds of collusion between officials and businessmen to squeeze the people, let them investigate them all. I want to all evidence of corrupt officials and evil businessmen. Yes, Chu-Ling Chuan responded respectfully, my subordinates will arrange everything, please rest assured, Your Highness. After the divorce, the princess was forced to raise a sickly villain. Author, Nan Huang. Chapter 254. Chu Tianzhen was not dead and did not need to prepare for his funeral, but the fact that he was injured by the shadow guard reminded the queen mother of the shadow guard next to Chu Qinghuang. His name is Fukang. Yes, Feng Ping replied respectfully, I heard he is the #1 master of the Dark Pavilion. The #1 master in the Dark Pavilion? The queen mother narrowed her eyes and looked at the soft and white pet in her palm, and said in a cold voice, the AI family remembers that a child was sent to the Dark Pavilion 16 years ago. Feng Ping was startled and bowed further, report to the queen mother, it's him. The queen mother paused and slowly raised her eyes to look at him, is that him? Feng Ping nodded. This is really interesting. The queen mother smiled coldly, Chu Qinghuang doesn't know his identity, does he? Have no idea. What is her attitude towards the shadow guard? It seems to be doing well recently. Feng Ping was also puzzled, I heard before that Her Royal Highness the Princess hates the shadow guard the most and is often blamed. However, I have never heard of the shadow guard being abused during this period. When the queen mother heard this, her stern eyes became more thoughtful. The AI family also thought that this shadow guard would die sooner or later, but they didn't expect that he was allowed to live. The more he lived, the more Chu Qinghuang valued him. Feng Ping glanced at her carefully, what does the queen mother mean? The queen mother did not speak, lying silently on the carved phoenix brocade couch, her expression cold and unpredictable, even her actions of stroking her little pet had a bit of a sinister meaning. Long live the queen mother! Long live the queen mother! The queen mother was slightly refreshed. Looking at the little beloved in front of her, there was finally a smile on her face, you are good at pleasing the AI family. Feng Ping smiled and said, this little thing is indeed cute. Chu Qinghuang's birthday banquet is coming soon. The queen mother couldn't help but feel a little gloomier when she mentioned this. The queen knows how to do favors, but she actually plans to give her a grand event in the palace. Feng Ping lowered his head and did not dare to speak. The queen mother obviously doesn't take the queen mother to heart, otherwise she would worry about the queen mother's mood. After all, the queen mother's birthday has just passed. As the most noble woman in the palace, the queen mother's birthday is simple, but now she wants to a princess's birthday party was held grandly. One can imagine the queen mother's mood. The queen mother, calm down. The queen mother, calm down, a soft and childish voice sounded, as if she was being coquettish, long live the eldest princess. Long live the eldest princess. The first half of the sentence was about to make the queen mother feel comfortable, but the second half made her expression suddenly change. What did you say? She stared at the little pet in front of her with a murderous look in her eyes, say it again. Little beloved was so frightened by her fierce aura that she shivered and instantly curled up, daring not to move. Queen mother, calm down. Feng Ping quickly spoke to comfort him, I don't know if this little darling was taught by someone recently. It was clearly not like this when he first came here. It's not okay to say long live all the time. Saying long live the queen mother is considered to make the queen mother happy. Isn't it treasonous to say long live the eldest princess? Feng Ping asked someone to bring a small basket covered with soft velvet, put the little pet in, patted its body gently, and placed the basket on the small bed specially prepared for the little pet, so that he could sleep and stop messing around. Call. The emperor is now devoted to doting on Chu Qinghuang, and even the status of the AI family is not as good as hers. The queen mother said in a cold tone, does concubine Duan know about Tianzhen's beating? You should know it by now. The queen mother sneered, the AI family doesn't believe it. She can really watch her son being bullied and remain indifferent. Fangping should be. Fangping the Queen Mother slowly sat upright, holding a teacup. Her exquisite long armor had a sharp and gloomy sheen. You said that when the little thing shouted "Long live," did someone teach it on purpose? Fangping was startled and quickly turned to look at the nuns and maids serving in Renchao Palace. The two nuns responsible for taking care of Xiao Chong knelt down in panic. The Queen Mother is aware that I don't dare. I will never dare to talk carelessly. The Queen Mother frowned and glanced at them. I didn't tell you. The two nuns breathed a sigh of relief. Thank you, Queen Mother. The Queen Mother means. Fangping frowned and an incredible thought came to his mind. Is it the eldest princess? The Queen Mother did not speak. She stroked the teacup with her armored fingers, her eyes filled with a strange cold light, and she silently recalled everything that Chu Qing Huang had done during this period. After a long while, she said coldly, no matter who taught it, since the little thing shouted these words, it is a great note to the AI family. Fangping was puzzled. Find a way to tell the truth to the Queen. The Queen Mother narrowed her eyes and her voice was as cold as frost. It is said that Chu Qing Huang is the daughter of destiny, and Ziki is afraid that she will have a queen, and arrange for reliable people at the same time. Let's go out of the palace and spread this rumor. The AI family really wants to see if the queen will show favor to Chu Qing Huang after hearing these rumors. Seeing that the crown prince was about to be acquired, a prophecy suddenly appeared that a woman would dominate the world. The queen didn't know if she would issue a killing order. Fangping nodded, yes, I will make arrangements now. One more thing. The Queen Mother is referring to. The AI family remembers that 3 months ago, Chu Qing Huang made a solemn promise in front of the emperor that envoys from Dongling would come before July. It will be July soon, but there has been no movement at all. The Queen Mother's eyes, a cold light flashed through my heart. Contact the ministers in the court, especially the Ministry of Household Affairs, and ask the emperor how to prepare the tribute gift to Dongling this year. Fangping suddenly understood and accepted the order with a smile. The Queen Mother is wise. It is now July, as promised by the princess. If the Dongling envoy does not come, it means that the princess has broken her promise. The greater the hope, the greater the disappointment. The emperor will definitely be dissatisfied with the princess's breach of promise, and the ministers will not miss this opportunity. The tribute has not yet been settled, but the princess' birthday banquet is going to be grand. Can the national treasury afford it? Just think about it and you will know what kind of reaction will be triggered when the minister's dissatisfaction intensifies. After the divorce, the princess was forced to raise a sickly villain. Author, Nan Huang. Chapter 255. Within 2 days, rumors spread throughout the imperial city. Some said that the eldest princess was the Emperor of Heaven, shouldering a sacred mission and would bring Ziki to a prosperous era. Some said that the eldest princess was a goddess who was born, noble and domineering, and was destined to become the Emperor of Ziki. Others said that the eldest princess was ambitious, had ambitions comparable to those of men, and had extraordinary courage that several princes of Ziki could not match. Who says women are inferior to men? Her Royal Highness the Princess is a woman, but she can do many things that men can't do. It's really admirable. That's right. Corrupt officials are rampant in Ziki, and the censors have become decorations. If it weren't for Her Royal Highness the Princess's thundering methods, how could she bring all the corrupt officials to justice? The princess is the auspicious sign of Ziki, the female master who came to the world, and she must rule the country and live forever. I don't know who spread the rumor first, but one person spread it to 10 people, 10 people spread it to 100 people, and it spread like wildfire in the fastest time. Soon, it swept the entire imperial city like a gust of wind, and it reached the ears of civil and military officials, and even the harem was swept by this rumor. Queen Qin sat on the phoenix chair, her expression as cold as ice. Have you found out who spread the rumor? Not yet. Nanigu lowered her head. Could it be the eldest princess? Is she stupid? The queen frowned. Spreading such rumors at this time will do her more harm than good, and there is no benefit. However, even if there is no benefit, such rumors are definitely not what she likes to hear. The phrases Emperor Phoenix of Heaven's destiny and Goddess of the world are like thorns that pierce her heart. She was already dissatisfied because Chu Qing Huang was difficult to win over, and now such absurd rumors have spread. How can she be happy? The position of the crown prince must be Tiankuo, and no one else can even think about it. Empress Nanigu guessed cautiously, in my opinion, if it's not the eldest princess who spread the rumor, then some prince is trying to stir up suspicion and hostility towards the eldest princess. You must keep calm at this time. The queen narrowed her eyes slowly. You are right, someone must be trying to stir up trouble. However, although she said so, she couldn't help but think about Chu Qinghuang's recent behavior. Things that she didn't think about and couldn't think about, once someone started it, it was as if someone forced her to think about it. Which princess in the past could be as gifted as Chu Qinghuang, with a stronger force than men? Which princess in the past could be as rebellious as Chu Qinghuang, taking male favorites into the mansion one after another, and completely ignoring secular ethics? Which princess in the past could openly lead troops to search the homes of ministers, and even kill them first and report later? The queen wanted to stop thinking too much, but her mind was out of control. She kept thinking about Chu Qinghuang's ambitions. The more she thought about it, the worse she felt. She couldn't help but order, I haven't been feeling well these past 2 days. Let Princess Xian come over to have lunch with me at noon. Gu Ma nodded, yes. Tell everyone in Changchun Palace to keep their mouths shut for the next 2 days. No one is allowed to go out and talk nonsense. The queen forced herself to calm down. Rumors are spreading so quickly. The civil and military officials in the court should care more about it than I do. I'm just waiting to see how the emperor will react after hearing these rumors. At this time in the Yogan Palace, the emperor did hear the rumors. What did you say, my dear ministers? His Majesty raised his head and frowned at several important officials in the court who came together, including Qin Kuaju and the king of Zhenbei. Emperor Phoenix? Goddess. Reporting to the emperor, Qin Kuaju bowed. Now the rumors in the imperial city are fermenting very quickly, and they are getting more and more intense. On the streets and alleys, young and old are praising Her Royal Highness the Princess, saying that the princess is a goddess incarnate, and is the emperor of destiny. It makes people suspect that someone is behind the scenes. The emperor was thoughtful. Is this the prophecy that Qing Huang asked people to spread? Your Majesty, the rumor monger must have ulterior motives and is trying to disturb the people's hearts and the country. I beg your Majesty to order a strict investigation. Yan Yushi, who is from the Queen's party, said fiercely, if the rumor monger is found, he must be severely punished. I beg your Majesty to order a strict investigation. The emperor was silent for a moment. Zhenbei King, what do you think? Reporting to the emperor, my thoughts are the same as Yan Yushi. Zhenbei King said, even if the eldest princess is really ambitious, she can't be the emperor. There has never been a precedent for a princess to be an emperor. Such rumors are ridiculous and nonsense. The emperor frowned and was a little displeased for a moment. Ridiculous, nonsense. Is the Zhenbei King pretending to be stupid with him, or is he deliberately pretending to be stupid? There has never been an empress in the history of Ziki, but it doesn't mean that other countries have no use for it. Isn't this never before too loose? However, the positions of the important ministers who came today are clear. They all support the queen and her son openly and secretly. He is too lazy to listen to their nonsense. Chen Hai, the emperor, made a prompt decision, immediately summoned Prince Rong, the eldest princess, Chu Xuanyi and the Dali temple minister to the palace to see the emperor. Chen Hai accepted the order, I will go right away. At this moment, Chu Qinghuang was leaning against the railing of the flower hall, listening leisurely to Chu Lingchuan talking about the rumors in the imperial city. He looked calm and lazy while drinking tea, Do you want to guess who is the mastermind behind this rumor? Shen Zongjin said, it's either Prince Zhenbei or Chu Tianyan. Do you still need to guess? Hong Yu said, anyway, there are not many smart people in the Ziki royal family, and most of them are brainless. Just treat them as the masterminds. Xiao Yu's scope is too broad, and it seems perfunctory. Qi Ling shook his head, I guess it might be Chu Tianqiu. Neither Fukang spoke coldly, and there was no emotion in his tone, it was the eunuch of Renshao Palace. When this was said, everyone else was stunned, and then Shen Zongjin frowned, Queen Mother. I know, Hong Yu clapped his hands suddenly, as if he had discovered a new world. She deliberately spread this rumor to make the Queen and Prince Qian hostile and wary of my Highness, so that Prince Qian and His Highness would kill each other and both would suffer losses, and she would take the opportunity to give Chu Tianyan a chance to recuperate. This old witch is so cunning. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. After the divorce, the princess was forced to raise a sickly villain. Author, Nan Huang. Chapter 256. Cunning indeed. But she was cunning at the right time, and the Queen Mother completely miscalculated this time. Chu Ling Chuan said warmly, what do you think of these rumors, Your Highness? Chu Qinghuang raised her eyebrows and said in a leisurely tone, the Queen Mother has created a reason for me to compete for the throne. I should go and thank her. The goddess came to the world. The destined emperor, Qi Ling rubbed his chin, thoughtfully, it's the same as Xiao Yu's prediction. Isn't there an expert around the Queen Mother to give guidance? If she really had an expert to guide her, she wouldn't be so stupid as to take the initiative to give a ladder to our Highness. Hong Yu snorted coldly, the people who are really riding a tiger right now are actually the Queen and her son. These rumors have no impact on your Highness, but the Queen and her son. King Xian must have had a great influence. They neither dare to believe that His Highness really has this idea, nor dare to completely deny the possibility. Maybe they feel as if they are being bitten by thousands of insects. Originally, she was still thinking of winning over His Highness, but after these rumors started to ferment, the Queen might not even know what to do. Her Royal Highness the eldest princess, Aunt Wu came quickly from afar and saluted, there is a decree in the palace, and Her Royal Highness the eldest princess will enter the palace immediately to meet the Holy Spirit. After the words fell, the flower hall fell into silence for a moment. Someone must have made trouble in front of the Emperor. Zhongjin said deeply, Your Highness, how about I go home? Chu Qinghuang raised his eyes and asked, what are you going home for? Tell my father that from now on, the Shen family can only stand behind His Highness. Zhongjin said, no matter what happens in the court, the Shen family cannot change their position. Wen Zhan nodded, the same goes for the Wen family. My father's position as minister was recommended to him by His Highness. He used to be loyal to concubine Duan and her son. Now that concubine Duan has lost power, it is natural for the Wen family to be loyal to the eldest princess. They all know that if His Highness has no intention of competing for the throne, then this rumor can be regarded as a joke and there is no need to take it to heart at all. But they all understand His Highness's thoughts. Although she also knew the meaning of this rumor, and the Queen Mother just wanted the Queen Mother and her son to turn against Her Majesty and make them both lose in a fight, there was no doubt that the rumor had pushed Her Majesty to the forefront. In this case, there is no need to hide the intention of competing for reserves, and it is just a matter of acquiescence. Once their thoughts are revealed, all the officials in the court will definitely take their own positions, and then enter into a real struggle for power, tit for tat. Chu Qinghuang stood up, you don't have to go home specially, Shen Yushi and Wen Shangshu also know who to help at this time. With that said, he walked out of the flower hall. It doesn't matter who spread this rumor. What's important is that this rumor doesn't mean anything bad to Chu Qinghuang, it's just a mental preparation for the civil and military ministers in advance. Isn't this easier than Chu Qinghuang himself announcing that he wants to fight for the throne? Not long after, Chu Qinghuang entered the palace in a carriage and met Prince Rong and Lord Pan, the minister of Dali Temple, at the palace gate. Prince Rong's mansion was not far from the eldest princess' mansion. After receiving the order, the two arrived at the palace one after another. The minister of Dali Temple was summoned from the Dali Temple Yamen. The three of them met together, and Lord Pan saluted King Rong and the eldest princess. King Rong has always been a low-key person. His younger son got into trouble before and almost caused a catastrophe by offending the evil god in front of him. He now has a subconscious fear of Chu Qinghuang, but the situation has been a little different recently. King Rong thought about what Xianyi said to him in the study last night, and his mind sank slightly. After the divorce, the princess was forced to raise a sickly villain. Author, Nan Huang. Chapter 257. Uncle Rong Wang. Chu Qinghuang's voice was indifferent and calm. Do you know why your father summoned us? If Lord Pan hadn't been here, I might not have guessed it. King Rong smiled faintly and walked into the palace gate with her, but the emperor summoned me and his highness at the same time, and asked Lord Pan to enter the palace together. It should be it's to investigate the rumors in the imperial city. Since the two of them had met each other, they had to exchange greetings. Master Pan, did you ask someone to find out who was behind the rumors? Chu Qinghuang asked, tilting her head. Master Pan replied, I heard some rumors because of the fierce fermentation of rumors today. I have already asked people to investigate, but no useful clues have been obtained so far. King Rong looked at Chu Qinghuang's expression calmly and found that there was no strange expression on her face. He didn't know whether she didn't care about the rumors or had expected them. Normal people shouldn't react like this. Not to mention the princess who has no right to inherit at all. Even the prince who is vying for the heir should show some reaction after hearing the rumors, either uneasy or excited. It's impossible to pretend that nothing happened. After all, this is a rumor about the throne of the emperor, not an ordinary housewife with 3 aunts and 6 wives. The three people had different thoughts and soon arrived at the imperial palace. Chu Xuanyi, who was on duty, arrived before them. At this time, there were many people in the imperial palace, and they all stood silently and watched coldly. When Chu Qinghuang's figure appeared in front of them, everyone's eyes shrank slightly, and their expressions were calm and unpredictable. Your Majesty. Prince Rong and Master Pan saluted first. I wonder why your Majesty summoned me. Qinghuang. The emperor's eyes fell on Qinghuang's face. A rumor suddenly spread in the imperial city. Have you heard about it? Chu Qinghuang nodded. I only heard about it today. What do you think? As soon as these words came out, several ministers in the palace stared at Chu Qinghuang, wanting to hear her reply. My son, I have no opinion. Chu Qinghuang said calmly, we should find out who is the originator of the rumor. What is the purpose? If we can't find out, this rumor may not be groundless. Your Highness, the princess, what do you mean by this? Uncle Qin frowned, as if he had been stabbed at a sore point. Isn't it just groundless? Could it be that the princess grew up really thinking that some kind of goddess came to the world, the destined Emperor Phoenix? Why not? Chu Qinghuang looked coldly. Uncle Qin Guo, is he looking down on women? It's simply ridiculous. Uncle Qin said coldly. Everyone in the world knows that there are differences between men and women, and that the yin and yang of heaven and earth have their own laws. The eldest princess, as long as she has read some sage's books and the 4 books on women, would not be able to say such a ridiculous thing. The words of the scripture come. Female 4 books? Chu Qinghuang brushed her robe sleeves and said, I really want to disappoint Uncle Qin. All I have read is the art of war and strategy. I have never seen what the 4 female books look like. Uncle Qin's expression froze. In addition, Uncle Qin Guo wants to tell me that women should kneel at the feet of men, be docile and obedient, and must not resist. Chu Qinghuang's eyebrows gradually turned cold. I wonder when Uncle Chinguo comes home every night, the old mother, wife, and daughter at home. Did you kneel and prostrate yourself at the door? Otherwise, was it treason? Did your mother kneel to breastfeed you when Uncle Chin was born, so that you looked down on women so much? Uncle Chin's face turned pale with anger. Your Highness, the eldest princess, please stop talking nonsense. Chu Qinghuang looked at him coldly, his eyes seemed to be soaked with a layer of biting frost, and his facial expressions were even more cold and terrifying, making people's hearts palpitate unconsciously. Uncle Chin slowly clenched his hands, his face turned pale and ugly. Everyone present, no matter who it is. Chu Qinghuang's eyes slowly glanced around, and his voice was cold and ruthless. I don't provoke others, and I hope you don't provoke me. I have been exhausted from ransacking my house in the past few days. I want to rest for 2 days. If anyone dares to make me unhappy today, I won't mind taking away your little wealth to fill the national treasury. Her Royal Highness, the eldest princess, is so threatening to the important ministers of the court. King Zhenbei frowned. The ministers are all loyal ministers who serve the country. Does the eldest princess do this too disrespectfully to the ministers? Chu Qinghuang touched the whip on her waist and replied indifferently, I have always been arrogant. Hasn't King Zhenbei learned from this? King Zhenbei was choked back violently. Thinking that it was because of her that the emperor had cut off Qi Yun's possibility of attacking the prince a few days ago, he felt angry and hateful at the same time. That's enough, what's all the fuss about? His Majesty the Emperor frowned, with a majestic look on his face. Are there any rules? Chu Qinghuang remained silent. The king of Zhenbei did not dare to remain silent. He bowed his head and apologized, I have behaved inappropriately before the emperor. Please forgive me. Uncle Qin also admitted his mistake. The emperor said coldly, Pan Iking. I'm here. You are responsible for sending people to investigate the rumors in the imperial city. I will know the results within 3 days. I obey the decree. Father, Chu Tianqiu said respectfully, today, I passed by the Ministry of Husbandry and overheard several ministers from the Ministry of Rights and the Ministry of Husbandry arguing. When I went in and asked, I found out that it was about the Dongling tribute. The Ministry of Rights wants to prepare tribute gifts, but when Shangshu cannot allocate the money for the time being, and the 2 ministries have not yet thought of a solution, so they have not yet asked the emperor for instructions. After hearing this, the son felt very anxious, and hoped that the emperor would give him instructions on this matter. His Royal Highness King Xian is devoted to the country, and he has been worrying about the national treasury recently. He is really sincere and admirable. Uncle Qin complimented sincerely, His Royal Highness King Xian Inziki is really a blessing to the country. Chu Qinghuang raised his eyebrows, so it turns out that according to Uncle Qin's knowledge, Yuxin Shiji is said with his mouth. If just talking is enough, then shouldn't the people who really care about the country be the censors who chatter all day in the court? Qin Kuaju was speechless, and his expression could not help but become more ugly. Her Royal Highness Princess had promised before that within 3 months, an envoy from Dongling would come to exempt Ziki from this year's tribute. However, now that July is approaching, there is no movement from Dongling. I wonder how Her Royal Highness Princess will explain it. The cabinet ministers of the Queen's party echoed, yes, July is approaching, and there are not many days left before the tribute. If no one comes to Dongling, we have to prepare for this year's tribute. How should we prepare this year's tribute? I hope your Majesty will give instructions and let the Ministry of Revenue and the Ministry of Rights prepare early. Zhenbei Wang said, although I don't know what the princess promised, the tribute sent to Dongling is indeed too expensive, which is a huge burden on the national treasury. At such a critical moment, I heard that the Queen is also planning to hold a grand birthday banquet for Her Royal Highness Princess. Your Majesty, I deeply believe that we should still focus on the overall situation. We should cut down on expenses and reduce the expenditure of the national treasury. It is the right thing to solve the tribute issue first. After the divorce, the princess was forced to raise a sickly villain. Author, Nan Huang. Chapter 258. Chu Qing Huang said nothing, she was too lazy to speak at all. Today's battle has become clear. Chu Tianqiu, Qin Qiaju, King Zhenbei, and several ministers from the Queen's party have joined forces to besiege her, taking advantage of the rumors to suppress her more and more. The more arrogant and arrogant. Yeah, arrogant arrogance. Let's put it this way, anyway, this is the truest thought in the hearts of all the ministers. The eldest princess's arrogance is getting more and more arrogant. If she doesn't suppress her, she will really be superior to everyone. So there is no point in wasting words with them, just let them vent their saliva. Prince Rong, His Majesty the Emperor turned to look at Prince Rong. Tell me something. Prince Rong respectfully replied, Her Royal Highness the eldest princess has accumulated a lot of achievements during this period. The 6 million extra silver in the national treasury is all due to Her Royal Highness the eldest princess. A mere birthday banquet does not cost much silver. With Her Royal Highness the eldest princess it's nothing compared to his achievements. The implication is very clear, the eldest princess has earned all this by herself, and she deserves it. After a pause, Prince Rong muttered again, as for the dongling tribute ceremony, it is said that a man is true to his word and cannot be chased by a horse. Her Royal Highness the Princess is a woman, and it is okay to break her promise once in a while. As broad-minded ministers, we should look at the good qualities of Her Royal Highness and be tolerant of trivial mistakes. Otherwise, it will inevitably make people feel disappointed. How will Her Royal Highness continue to serve the Emperor in the future? How to do things for the Emperor? The ministers present wished that the eldest princess would live in seclusion and never get involved in court affairs again. As long as she can stay on her own terms, no matter how violent her temper becomes in the future, or how many male pets she wants to get in her backyard, they will never say another word. This world is a man's world, why would a princess get involved? She is just a girl, but she really wants to shake up the country. The Emperor turned to look at Chu Xuanyi. Xuanyi, what do you think? Chu Xuanyi answered concisely, Her Royal Highness, the eldest princess, has made more achievements than her faults, and I am sincerely convinced. Gong is merit, fault is fault, how can they be confused? Uncle Qin said coldly, Her Royal Highness the eldest princess issued a military order at the beginning, and the Emperor also said that if Her Royal Highness the eldest princess cannot do what she promised. Uncle Qin Guo Chu Qing Huang spoke slowly, with a voice as indifferent as snow, why are you so excited? There are still 3 days until July. Uncle Qin's voice was stuck, and then he said, Your Highness, the eldest princess, means that the promise will be fulfilled within 3 days. Chu Qing Huang nodded casually, that's what I mean. What if it can't be fulfilled? His aggressive tone made the Emperor unhappy, and King Rong frowned. Uncle Qin is so aggressive, is he frightened by the rumors in the imperial city? Uncle Qin was dissatisfied, what does King Rong mean by this? Dongling is a powerful country and cannot be easily provoked. The promises made by Her Royal Highness the Princess are absurd. Are we all going to deceive ourselves and others? Chu Qing Huang said in a leisurely tone, let's do this. I will make a bet with Uncle Qin. Uncle Qin Guo looked worried, what does the eldest princess want to bet on? Within 3 days, we bet on the arrival of the Dongling envoy. Chu Qing Huang glanced coldly at the group of ministers in front of him, if the Dongling envoy does not arrive within 3 days as promised, then I will hand over. The silver-armored soldier was stripped of her title as eldest princess, and she stayed behind closed doors from now on, no longer caring about the affairs of the court. The Emperor's expression changed. Qing Huang. The ministers were shocked when they heard this and exchanged meaningful glances with each other. As long as Chu Qing Huang hands over his power and no longer interferes with the affairs of the court, the position of prince must belong to His Royal Highness Prince Xian. Who else will be his opponent? As long as he successfully becomes the prince, it doesn't matter if there are rumors outside. Is your Royal Highness the eldest princess serious? Although I am a woman, I can still say what I say, which is hard to follow, Chu Qinghuang said calmly. I wonder what Uncle Qin plans to bet on. Uncle Qin was stunned. I can let you all share the bet equally, Chu Qinghuang said in a calm tone, without distinguishing between joy and anger. Do you want to participate, brother too? Chu Tianqiu's face changed slightly. The chips offered by Chu Qinghuang were too exciting to refuse. Whether it was the rumors that were brewing outside or the power in Chu Qinghuang's hands, they were all things that made him feel uneasy. However, as long as Chu Qinghuang loses the power and the title of eldest princess, all these uneasiness can disappear instantly. Chu Tianqiu no longer has to worry about winning her over, nor does he need to worry about her dealing with ministers of his own faction, nor does he need to guess whether she really has ambitions that she shouldn't have. All problems can be solved easily. At this moment, the people present seemed to have forgotten the existence of the emperor. They were thinking of pulling Chu Qinghuang down. It would be best to strip her of her title, seize her military power, and abolish her martial arts. Chu Tianqiu suddenly had vicious thoughts. Chu Qinghuang's existence has become a thorn in his heart. A few days ago, he desperately wanted to win over her, but now he just wants to destroy her. But don't worry about the last one. When he becomes the prince and ascends the throne as emperor, wouldn't it be easy to deal with a princess who has lost her military power? Brother Wei doesn't seem to have any particularly valuable chips in his hand. Chu Tianqiu perfectly concealed the darkness in his heart and said with a smile, I wonder what Kime wants me to bet on. Since I have staked my title of the eldest princess, the equivalent is naturally your title of the prince, Chu Qinghuang said calmly. I just wonder if my second brother dares to gamble. Chu Tianqiu was shocked and subconsciously glanced at the emperor, the title of the prince. Chu Qinghuang nodded. This is absolutely not allowed, Qin Qiuaju said in a deep voice. His Royal Highness Xian Wang's title was conferred by the emperor himself. How can it be used as a bet at will? This is not dash. My title of the eldest princess was also conferred by my father. Chu Qinghuang interrupted him calmly. The military power in my hands was given by my father. The emperor exhaled lightly, and his heart suddenly relaxed. There is nothing to worry about. He looked at his daughter with a cold expression and calm demeanor, and then looked at the aggressive ministers in the hall, and a hint of irony flashed across his eyes. This is his good son and good minister. Before the rumors started, they could still remain calm and maintain their hypocritical gentlemanly demeanor. However, just a few rumors flying around made them suddenly confused. The important officials in the court who were at the core and could shake the area with a stomp of their feet, the right-hand men in the court who had been immersed in officialdom for decades and were in their 50s and 60s, besieged his 15-year-old daughter in front of him, the emperor. It really opened his eyes. It really opened his eyes. The emperor suppressed his sneer in his heart. They were so eager to deprive Qinghuang of her title and take back her military power. They no longer had even a little disguise. They really played the ugly appearance of the powerful officials forcing the emperor to abdicate. If they really got what they wanted, would they force him to give up the throne in the next step? Window. Tabula equals window. Tabula. Tabula.push, mode, thumbspeed -01, container, tabula below article thumbnail -300x250, placement, below article thumbnail -300x250, target. Type, mix. You are listening to novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. After the divorce, the princess was forced to raise a sickly villain. Author, Nan Huang. Chapter 259. Chen Hai lowered his eyebrows and changed a cup of tea for the emperor. If you don't dare to bet, Forget it, Chu Qinghuang said indifferently, and bowed to the emperor. If there is nothing else, I will take my leave first. Your Highness, please stay. Uncle Qin was unwilling to miss the opportunity. How about I bet with your Highness? Chu Qinghuang said in a cold tone, Uncle Qin, do you think you can be compared with me? Uncle Qin was choked, and a bit of embarrassment flashed across his face. I can increase the stakes. My eldest princess bets on my second brother's prince title, Chu Qinghuang said in a tough tone, leaving no room for negotiation. My military power bets on all the positions of Uncle Qin in the court. As soon as these words came out, the faces of King Xian and Uncle Qin changed. Prince title and all the positions of the Qin family in the court? This. King Xian looked towards the emperor's chair calmly, then quickly retracted his gaze. He couldn't help but wonder in his heart, did the emperor really have no reaction to Chu Qinghuang's rampant behavior? Rumors were spreading outside, and Chu Qinghuang, as a princess, already had both power and prestige. Didn't the emperor worry that she would have ambitions? A female emperor ruled the world, which was ridiculous and absurd. Regardless of whether there was any doubt in his heart, the emperor should take this opportunity to take back all of Chu Qinghuang's privileges. I think it's worth a gamble. The emperor spoke solemnly, his tone full of imperial majesty. Since it's come to this, I also want to see whether the Dongling envoy will come. As soon as the sentence came out, the ministers present subconsciously thought that the emperor was also dissatisfied with the eldest princess's promise but not fulfilled, and wanted to take this opportunity to reduce her power. So Qin Kuaju hesitated for only a moment, then turned to look at King Xian and nodded imperceptibly. It's worth a gamble. In the past 2 days, he sent out Qin family spies and Zhou family forces to investigate together, but he did not get any news that the envoys were coming to Ziki, and the spies walked about 2,000 miles to the east. This at least shows that even if someone really came, it would be impossible for them to reach Ziki within 3 days. Chu Qinghuang was just bluffing. Or, she was ready to find someone to pretend to be an envoy. If she really planned to do so, no matter how perfect the envoy's disguise was, it would be easily discovered. At that time, the crime of deceiving the emperor would be charged, which would be unforgivable. Let's see how she handles it. I agree, Chu Tianqiu said slowly, although this bet should not be made, it is urgent and for the sake of Ziki. As he said this, he sighed, I also hope that the Dongling envoys can arrive on time and are willing to waive the tribute from Ziki this year. In this way, even if I am demoted to a prince, it is worth it. Otherwise, the income of only 6 million silver is simply a drop in the bucket for the country, and any additional expenditure is a burden. He said it with great righteousness, but how many people present believed his sincerity in this sentence? Prince Rong frowned silently. He did not expect to face such a scene after being summoned to Yogan Palace. A princess, a legitimate son of the queen, and a dignified uncle of the country actually made a bet like a child playing house in front of the emperor. Do they still have the majesty of the emperor? Although the bet was proposed by the princess, who could not see that it was the King Xian and the uncle of Qin who joined forces with their officials to force the princess. It's rare that the emperor can still keep his composure. Prince Rong sighed secretly. Prince Xian thought he had a sure win. He thought that if the rumors spread widely, the emperor would be afraid of the princess and support him in suppressing her. He was too clever. If the emperor was really so pedantic, how could he give the princess so much power? The third and fifth princes fell into the hands of the princess, and the emperor turned a blind eye. What did it mean? He could not see it. He had almost predicted the end of Prince Xian. He was afraid that he would be worse than those two. Since it is a bet, a verbal agreement alone is not effective. The emperor spoke expressionlessly, making it impossible to tell his true emotions. Early tomorrow morning, in the hall, a contract will be signed in front of all the civil and military officials. Both parties will sign and seal it, and it will be effective as an imperial edict. Chu Qinghuang nodded, Your son obeys your order. King Xian responded, your son obeys your order. After this decision, the matter was over. The emperor quickly turned the topic to the rumors in the imperial city and said lightly, Lord Pan. I am here. Xianyi. Chu Xianyi bowed, I am here. Find out the ins and outs of the rumors and see who is trying to create chaos in the world. The emperor frowned deeply and said in a cold tone, this matter is still in the hands of you two. You must find the source within 3 days. Your son obeys your order. The emperor waved his hand impatiently, Prince Rong stays, and the others can go back. So everyone left. Chu Qinghuang was the first to walk out of Yugan Palace, followed by King Xian, seventh sister. Chu Qinghuang turned her head and looked at him without any expression. This bet is really helpless, please understand, seventh sister. King Xian smiled bitterly, I also had no choice. Chu Qinghuang's expression was indifferent, someone put a knife to your neck. King Xian choked, I treasure your prince title, which only has 3 days left. Chu Qinghuang said, once the prince title is stripped, you must bow obediently when you see me in the future, otherwise you will be punished for disrespect. After saying this, she walked away without paying any attention to Chu Tianqiu's expression that suddenly froze after hearing this. After the divorce, the princess was forced to raise a sickly villain. Author, Nan Huang. Chapter 260. Your Highness Prince Xian. Uncle Qin walked to Chu Tianqiu, his eyes fixed on Chu Qinghuang's back. The princess is getting more and more arrogant. Uncle, do you think her confidence is real or fake? Chu Tianqiu felt a little uneasy, wondering if he was shocked by Chu Qinghuang's confident demeanor. She seems to have determined that the king will lose. It shouldn't be. Uncle Qin frowned, I sent spies out to check before, and there was no envoy-like team coming to Ziki in the past 2 days. I suspect she just wants to provoke. But Chu Tianqiu was still uneasy. Just now, the king and uncle agreed to bet with her, and she didn't show any strange expression. It seems that she is really sure that she will win. He regretted it now and felt that he was taking a risk. After Chu Tianyan and Chu Tianzheng lost their power, they no longer had the strength to compete with him for the position of crown prince. As long as he kept his troops in place and waited for time, that position would be his sooner or later. Besides, he is the legitimate son of the queen. After the Ling family and the Feng family are gone, the status of the legitimate son has an absolute advantage. No one will be his opponent. But if he loses the bet one day, and is demoted to a prince, he will lose the qualification to compete for the throne, unless he makes meritorious deeds in the future and earns back the prince title. But how easy is it to make meritorious deeds? Today, after being provoked by Chu Qinghuang, he seemed to be forced to the edge of a cliff in an instant. If he takes a step back, he might fall to pieces. Why should he take this risk? The military power in the hands of the princess is currently our biggest obstacle and fear, Qin Qiuaju said in a deep voice, with a bit of shocking deep meaning in his low voice. Your Majesty should know that wealth and honor are sought in danger. As long as Chu Qinghuang's military power can be successfully taken back, the throne will truly be in your pocket. King Xian was shocked and suddenly understood what he meant. Now he has the legitimate status of being the legitimate son of the queen, the support of Qin Qiuaju and Zhou clan, and the backing of the vassal King Zhenbei Wang. The position of the crown prince is already in his pocket. If the emperor does not appoint him as the crown prince in the end, then even if he usurps the throne, he has enough bargaining chips. As long as Chu Qinghuang, the variable, is eliminated, there is nothing else to fear. The military power in Chu Qinghuang's hands is the only thing he is afraid of. If taking a risk can make Chu Qinghuang willingly hand over the military power, this risk is worth taking. King Xian nodded slowly, uncle is right. Don't worry, Your Highness, I will send someone to watch outside in the next 2 days, Uncle Qin said in a low voice. If there is any movement, we will definitely get the news as soon as possible, and then we will act accordingly. King Xian nodded, thank you, Uncle. The two of them separated quickly after leaving the palace. After returning home, Uncle Qin hurriedly sent out all the spies, keep a close eye on me in the next 2 days. If there is any team coming to Ziki, report it immediately. Yes. King Xian returned to the palace and also called the palace spies, go out of the city immediately to investigate, and don't miss any news. Yes. The spies took the order to leave the palace and rushed out of the imperial city. However, after having lunch with the queen in the palace, Princess Xian returned with the queen's oral instructions. My mother asked the prince to hold back for the next 2 days and not to easily become an enemy of Chu Qinghuang. She suspected that someone was deliberately trying to sow discord between the prince and the princess. Prince Xian frowned, it's too late. Princess Xian was shocked, Prince. This prince and Chu Qinghuang have already confronted each other head-on. Prince Xian briefly described what happened in Yugan Palace, and his expression was not good. This prince has reason to suspect that the rumor was spread by Chu Qinghuang. Princess Xian's face changed slightly, Your Highness means, Chu Qinghuang is ambitious. It doesn't matter whether she is ambitious or not at the moment. Prince Xian thought of the bet Chu Qinghuang made with him, and a dark cold light flashed in his eyes. As long as Chu Qinghuang still holds the military power, this prince can't rest assured even if he becomes the crown prince. Princess Xian fell silent, not knowing what to say for a moment. The queen asked her to persuade the prince not to be impulsive, but the prince had already confronted Chu Qinghuang, and his attitude seemed very determined. It seemed that nothing she said could change his mind. But the prince was right. Regardless of whether Chu Qinghuang had ambitions or not, the military power in her hands was now the biggest obstacle for the prince. As long as Chu Qinghuang was in charge of the Silver Armor Army, the prince could do nothing. Moreover, in the past few days, they all saw clearly that Chu Qinghuang was not an easy person to win over. She was simply unyielding, and it was impossible for people to accurately know her thoughts and preferences. They could not cater to her preferences. Instead of continuing to take the trouble to please others, it would be better to make her lose her threat directly. So if they could really take this opportunity to strip her of her title of the eldest princess and take back her military power of the Silver Armor Army, then for the prince, it would be worth the risk. Chu Qinghuang, who returned to the princess's mansion, also thought so. Rather than watching these annoying people jumping around in front of her all day, it is better to let them have nothing, and behave themselves obediently in the future, and stop bluffing in front of her. Fu Kang Chu Qinghuang ordered, his voice cold and ruthless, let Fu Ying and others leave the city immediately and act separately. All the spies sent out by the Xianwang mansion and the Kuaju mansion should be killed without leaving a single one. Yes.